Hi, I'm Molly Glover. I recently starred in Hopwood Films' short film Parklife, which was aired on Sky and Freesat Showcase channel, and it's also available on Amazon Prime very soon.
Fantastic. For those who didn't see the film, please can you tell us what Parklife is about?
It's about a young girl who's on a short journey on her birthday with her boyfriend, and some things happen that aren't expected, and it's about her journey afterwards.
So what sort of person is going to love the film?
I think it's really aimed at sort of maybe my generation, maybe a little bit older, maybe a little bit younger. I'm 22 and she's supposed to be about 18, 19. So I think, and anyone who loves the 90s as well, there's a lot of 90s references throughout.
So what's going to surprise people about the film?
I think just how you do watch it thinking that it's going to be really happy and easy going because it's in the summer and it's like a nice little journey in the car with all the windows down and all happy, and then it takes a turn that I don't think anyone expects.
And what do you think the audience will be thinking after they've seen the film?
I think it will be how you take for granted those little moments, and also how you can just be having a normal argument or a normal day and things can drastically change.
Was there anything challenging about bringing the script to life?
Well, we did a lot of rehearsals, and we rehearsed every week for about 2 or 3 months, which I hadn't done before on previous short films. We didn't do any rehearsals. It was one read through at a table and then you'd go and do it. So I think that definitely changed how I performed it, because I kind of knew it inside out backwards. So it was I didn't mess up a line that day because it was just ingrained in my head that you have to say this. And I think the hardest part was the car, because I was having to drive a car and think about the lines and also remember when to look at Alex, the other actor, and when to be looking at the road and everything. But it was luckily on a very clear road.
So how is this production bringing something new to the story?
I think because it is so current and because it's got a lot of 90s themes in it, which are definitely very present now. A lot of people my age dress similar to how the 90s were and stuff, and it's kind of based around that. So I think it makes it so that people my age kind of relate to it, but then people a bit older than me can, people a bit younger. So I think it just brings a new element to that era, but brings it to these days.
And why did you want to be involved in this production?
Well, it kind of got sent through to me by accident in a way. There was someone at our uni that was working on it for the costume design, and I just happened to see it one day on a billboard sort of poster, and I hadn't been having the best day, and I was like, oh, I haven't done a short film since my first year, and I just thought it would be a good opportunity. And I wasn't expecting to get it at all. I got there ridiculously early, and I was sat on their driveway and they were like, you can come in. I was like, okay then, I'll come in now. And then I thought, oh my God, I've blown it already. But they kept laughing at everything I was saying, and I went home and I was like, I think it went okay, because they were laughing, and my dad was like, well, they're supposed to be laughing. And I was like, oh God. So I panicked and I thought I won't have got it. I just thought I was kind of their last minute entry. But literally they emailed me the next day, we loved you, you've got it. And I was in shock, and I wasn't expecting to do it. But it was also more of a commitment than I expected, because I kind of thought, oh well, with the last one it was 1 month we do one thing, the next month we do this, and then the month after we film it. Whereas it was every single week there'd be a rehearsal, and everything was very much hands-on with the director. He'd email us all the time, I've changed this line, I've changed that line, or I don't like this one anymore. So it was kind of constant in a way for 2 months until we shot it.
What attracted you to begin a career as an actor?
When I was younger, I didn't do it at all, and I always wanted to, but I was a bit scared of the judgment. I was a football player, so it was kind of you don't do that, that's not you. And then I got to, just after college, I was in that in-between stage of I don't know whether I want to go to uni or not. And my mum said, we always wanted to try it, so just see if you could go to a college for it. And then I happened to come here because my sister was at the college version, and the tutors here were willing to take me on to the university version, which I'm very grateful for. So And then ever since then I kind of just kept throwing myself at things because I was the least experienced on the course, whereas now I've done the most outside of uni because I forced myself to. But yeah, I think it's just, I just like storytelling really, and I like not having to be me because I feel like there's a lot of sides of me that people don't know about, so it kind of helps me tap into like all of them. Like I'm not as predictable as people maybe might think.
So would you say that the character is like you or different?
I don't think she's like me. I think there's certain lines where they were like, we loved that because it was you, like it was more like you, but I don't think I am like Amy, really. Like I think she's quite uptight and I'm quite easygoing, like just do what you want. Whereas she's like, I asked for this, you said you'd do this, you said you'd do that, and she's very demanding of her boyfriend Ollie as well, which I think is okay, but I wouldn't necessarily think I like her, which I liked because it's more interesting to play someone you're not the same as.
What did you like about her?
I think I just liked that she was a bit like ballsy, and she was a bit like, no, I asked for this and you didn't give me what I asked for, and which is I guess a bit more like me, it is a bit more like don't mess me around kind of thing. She was very much like argumentative with anybody that was not doing what she asked or what she was expecting of them, which I think some people might take the wrong way and think like, oh, she's too judgmental, she's too this, she's too that, but I think actually she's not letting anybody walk all over her, and if she expects something from someone, they should like give it to her.
Is there anything that you disliked about the character?
I wouldn't say there was anything I particularly disliked. I think she was more uptight, which was similar to a character I had played before, like in the last short film that I did, which was kind of like, oh, I kind of want to do something a bit different. But she changed a lot from the original script that I was given, and it was very much like she changed entirely, but I liked that in a way because it was like, well, maybe that didn't quite fit, and the reason it changed is because it wasn't going to fit in properly.
What's the biggest challenge about taking on this role?
I think it was because of being at uni at the same time, it was a lot of like organising my timetable and making sure that I was prioritising uni but also doing the best I possibly could for Anthony and Alexander of Hopwood Films. So I would be at auditions till late at night, and then I'd be at uni the next day at 9 AM, and I live an hour away from uni, so it was like a lot of travelling, but I knew I wanted to do it, and I knew I had to fit it into that timetable because it just had to fit. I had to make it fit.
How do you cope with so much that's going on in terms of you've got quite a busy schedule?
I think I'm quite like an organiser. I kind of over-organise in a way, so the day I knew I had it, I needed to know this date, that date, the other, and like cross-referenced it with uni and stuff, and I think they were obviously quite supportive because I hadn't done one in like a year, so it was like kind of time for me to do another one, and even if it was gonna maybe affect some of my uni timetable, they can trust me that I'll catch up. I can catch up like while I'm at home and then the next day at uni, so yeah.
Do you have any advice for anyone who's thinking of becoming an actor?
I just think you should just give everything a go. I think so many people expect you to have all this experience and you should have gone to this uni, that uni, you should have done this course, this. I auditioned for my first short film within a month of being at uni. I'd never had an acting lesson even here yet. It was all like still in the introduction phase. And I was scared to death that I was sat in the waiting room thinking, I can't do this, I can't do this. But if you trust yourself and you just give it everything, they'll probably like something about you. And then that's why I ended up getting it, because I was myself to them, but also I could play the character that they wanted me to play. And I think you just have to try, I'm the type of person that I used to do everything really half-heartedly, and I think you need to try and push yourself as hard as you can, because you're probably capable of things you didn't think you were capable of.
That's a very great piece of advice. So, do you have a favourite line of dialogue from the film?
I think my favourite line of dialogue is, "Stop buying me shit from charity shops." Because they wouldn't let me swear another time. I was gonna say something else. And they were like, "We're only allowed one swear in this film," and that's the one. And they basically had said, the line was something like, very similar to that, but I added in shit instead of like stuff. And they were just like, "No, that's what she needs to say right there." And I was like, I thought so. Like, I knew it. But I think that's how normal people would say it. They wouldn't have said like things. Like, "Stop buying me things from charity shops." I was like, no. Like, you would say, because you've been buying me crappy stuff. So
Yeah.
that's why I said it.
Besides yourself, which actor in this production is going to blow people away?
I can't. It's hard because there are only really two other main people. I technically have a third person who, at the end, he's in a top hat, smoking. He's brilliant. I love him to pieces. He's just interesting to look at. But as much as I love Alex Joe, for me, who again is the bold guy, because he lightens everything up when it needs to be. It is very morbid in one part of it, and it's very sad. It was very sad for my family to watch, so I think it would be hard for people with children my age, maybe a bit younger, to watch certain parts of it, but he does kind of bring it up again, and my family said it kind of calmed them down about it, because he does, even though it's a horrible situation, he makes it like things will be all right, like you will be okay. So, Joe.
I'm going to ask you a few more sort of general type questions about yourself, actually, if you don't mind. When and what did you first perform in? So what was your very first, even like, as you said, because you're a footballer, weren't you?
Yeah. So
what was the first thing you ever did?
The first performance I ever did, other than like nativities, where I did play the star once, which was fun, but I didn't say anything, was I was in, which is my favourite film, but I was in The Lion King. We did it in primary school, and I was one of the hyenas, and I looked more like a husky. Like, I looked awful, but I loved it because I loved that film so much, and I really wanted to be Nala, but I was too shy, and they were just like, you won't speak loud enough, and I was just like, no, okay, fine, like whatever. But I think that was definitely my first one I was ever in that wasn't like a nativity.
So, Lion King's your favourite film?
Yeah, definitely.
Why?
I just was talking about it with my friend earlier, and I was like, it's because like visually it's really appealing, but then there's like the music in it. I love Elton John, so that just adds together. And then a lot of the actors in it, I'm a really big fan of James Earl Jones and like Jeremy Irons. So it's kind of like fits everything in there in the box, like because I love singing and stuff. So it's like fits everything all together nicely.
So who do you look up to as an actor or director then?
See, I always say Judi Dench because I just love her. I don't know why. I've just got this thing. I just love her. And I think the first time I ever had to act at uni for a project, I had to do a phone call, and I watched a documentary about her, and she said it's the hardest thing you have to do. And I was like, and that's my first project, and no one else is having to do it. You've all got this experience, and I was having to do like a phone call with no one on the other line, and it's like 3 pages of dialogue. I had to learn it all in a short space of time, and watching her like kind of calmed me down. But then also recently Olivia Colman, because she won the Oscar, and I think she really deserved it.
I completely agree.
She's brilliant. She's just too good. Like, she can make you laugh, she can make you cry. Like, she just does everything so good. And like, she comes across very humble, which I try to be. I don't like this whole, well, I'm better than you and I'm the actor in this, you're the director. Like, you're not as famous or this rubbish. Like, she doesn't have that. She's just caring.
What's your perfect Sunday afternoon look like?
Well, my usual Sunday afternoon is I go to my grandma's and try and talk to her, and she's 92 and deaf and has Alzheimer's and everything, but that's my usual Sunday afternoon. But I would definitely include that because you never know how long you have people in your lives. And then I have a dog. I love my dog, so I do something with her. And then my best friend Sammy, I normally spend time with her on a Sunday.
What type of dog do you have?
Cocker Spaniel, black Cocker Spaniel. She's 9, called Tilly. She's the worst. Even people will think that I'm exaggerating, and then they've met her and they'll be like, she's worse than Marley and me. Like, she's worse. She runs away. She's but you have to love her.
If you had a magic wand, what would you do next?
I really like this program on Netflix at the moment called Sex Education, and it's with people my age, and I always think like it would be so fun to be in that show, like, because I don't think there is a lot of programs about that actually are with people my age that is focused on them. Like, I know they have a lot of shows where they're in that program or whatever, but it kind of reminds me of like a glamorized version of the In-Betweeners, like, and I love the In-Betweeners, so it's like an extreme version of it in a way, but like the nice version. I keep saying it's like, sex education's like the dream of what college was like, but In-Betweeners was what college was like. Awful.
What's the last thing you do before you step out on stage or do a film?
I tend to not be nervous until 20 minutes before a show, and then I'm freaking out and I'm annoying everyone around me. I'm like, this is gonna be awful, we're gonna be dreadful, like, we're all awful now, like, if I'm gonna be bad, I'm gonna take everyone else down with me. And then like 2 minutes before, I'm like, chill guys, like chill, it'll be fine, and then I just go out and it's fine. But I don't tend to panic until it's the last minute, and then I annoy everyone else who's been panicking for weeks and is still panicking, and they're just like, go away. So I kind of try to stay on my own a little bit and try to remember that I do know what I'm doing. Because most of the time you do, I think you just have to remember to give yourself a bit of time to sit through. Don't necessarily run your lines, because that will hurt you and it'll make you feel bad if you forget one. When actually when you're on stage, the performance energy comes out. And I'm decent at improv, so if I do mess up a line, I know how to fix it. Whereas I think if you're not great at improv, it is probably the reason a lot of people do get quite nervous, because it's like, well, if I do mess up, what will I do? Will I just stand still and freak out? And I'm like, I can do a dance or something, it's fine, I'll come up with something.
If someone's going to make your life into a movie, who would you want to play you?
That's tricky. I think I'd want someone funny to play me. I feel like everyone else would be like, want this really beautiful, amazing actress to play me, but I'd like someone like, maybe someone even like Olivia Colman, just like funny and like she has a really emotional moments like I do, but most of the time I'm just trying to make people laugh and trying to get people through the day, because if I'm not laughing, then it's like, well, I'm just going to be miserable all day and I'm going to drag everyone else down, whereas I know if I'm happy, then I'm hopefully going to make them happy too.
It's contagious.
Yeah.
So what's next on the horizon for you?
Well, I'm doing a lot of auditions at the moment for uni though, mainly because I've got a dissertation coming up. So I'm hoping that once all of that's kind of done and settled, that I'll maybe be going on to audition for more projects, maybe more like lengthier projects, kind of, because I have done short film for quite a while, that I'd like to test myself and see if I could do like longer, which I'm sure I can, it's just I haven't had an opportunity and I wouldn't have had time with uni at all.
And for those who missed Parklife on Showcase, it'll be on Amazon Prime. When will it be out?
Yes, it will be on Amazon Prime, hopefully within the next week or two. It's on episode 5, and so far they have up to episode 4 on there, so hopefully it should be on there really soon.
That's great, thank you very much.